crazy cats, what it do? My name is Doug, and we're gonna set it so that way if we're within range of our turret, the turret starts firing. So let's get started. I just commented in the background turret fire because I just do that. So I'm going to create another custom event, and it's going to be called update within range. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we don't use, well, all right, so let's get a branch, let's get a branch going. So I'm just going to hold B for Billy Bob, and we're going to put this branch into there. And we are going to take enemy in range, and we are going to not do anything with that just yet because I'm getting ahead of myself. Because we need to actually set it so that way enemy in range can be set. So let's do it right now. We're going to right click, and we're going to type in get distance 2, and the target is going to be our turret. To do that, we have to right click and just type in self. Get a reference to self. Now, a reference to self is the blueprint in its whole, not just any individual components. So we take this and plug it into target. As far as other actor is concerned, you guessed it, we're gonna get player pawn, and we're gonna drag this in to other actor. Now its return value is a float, so we want to make sure that the distance is within our attack range. So if our attack range, so how do we do that? Okay, so we drag the return value out, we type in less or equal to float. It's this one. And we're going to make sure it's within our attack range. So hold down control, left click, drag it out, plop it into there. And attack range is 4,000. So we're going to drag this into our condition. So what are we saying? If our other actor is less than or equal to 4,000 units, we're going to set enemy in range to true. So how do we set things in range? We hold down Alt, left click, drag it out to set. And we're going to drag that into true, and we're going to control W to duplicate and put that into false. But on the true one, we want to make sure that this box is checked, because anything that's true means that it's checked. Anything checked means that it's true. There you go. That's what I'm going to, yeah. And now I'm just going to comment this. I'm going to say, is enemy within range. And now we want to make sure we call this. Where do we want to call it? We want to call it before we set our rotation range. So let's do that. So I'm just going to hold down Alt, left click on the arrow to break the link. I'm going to drag this out, and I'm going to say, what was I think it's update within range? Yeah. That's our custom event. We're going to drag this into there. And then we're going to check to see if we're going to branch this as well. Yeah, let's branch it. Why not? So I'm just going to alt left click. I'm going to branch. We're going to get this and plop it into there. So that way our condition is if the enemy was within range. So that way we can rotate based on our player position. If it's true, set the new rotation. If it's false, do nothing. That's essentially what we're doing. And fire at will, we're going to do the same thing. Branch it out. Take the enemy within range, put it into our condition. Plop this into there, get true, and plop it out. So what did we just do? Okay, so in here, in our custom event, here's where we basically say set enemy within range to true. Once we're within range, how do we know when we're within range? Well, it gets our own. It gets the world position. It gets the world rotation, position and rotation of the turret, and then gets the player position and asks if it's within our attack range. And then if it is, we set it to true. And if it's true, what happens? First things first, we update the new rotation so that way we have the turret pointing at the player, and then we just fire at it once we're within range. Where do we call it? Well, we call it up here, and we're just going to comment this, and I'm going to call it Event Dispatcher. So we're going to compile, we're going to save. And you know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna actually get attack range and make it public. I'm gonna compile again and save because I just do that. Under our tooltip, I'm just gonna type in how far can the turret see. So I'm gonna compile and save again because I do that a lot. Close that out. And now if we play, oh yeah, whoa, hello. Is it still tracking us? Nope. Oh yes, it is actually. But we can see it's not continuously firing. Now it is. So let's actually just for testing purposes, I'm gonna set this to like 100. So I'm gonna play again. As you can see, the turret's not moving, but if we get to within range, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening! Let's find out why. Most likely because, actually I think I know why. It's because the pivot point is so far in here. So let's just set it, instead let's say 500. But that's mainly because of the pivot point of Doom here. I mean, like, the pivot point's way in here. So it has to take into account. I'll explain that in a little bit. Let's just play again. There we go. We see that it's moving now. Now it's stopped. We move in. There we go. And now if we do that. So Doug, you were mentioning pivot point. Well, what do you mean by pivot point? Okay, so as you know, this is two separate objects, as you can see here, right? We have our tank turret, which is the base, and then the tank barrel, which is the barrel itself, the cannon. But we see that the pivot. But let's look at the pivot point. Actually, you know what? Let's do it in the blueprint. We go to our viewport and we click on that. You see where it's. You see the pivot points right in here, and then it has to take into account how long the barrel is. Now the barrel is really, really long, even after being scaled down. So it has to take all that information into account, and that's when we see it. You have to hard code it and play around with the numbers. So I'll just say, I don't know, 300, but I'm pretty sure it's still not going to detect the player because it's just the pivot point's way in there. Let's see. Oh, it does turn. Okay. But yeah, that's how we do it. So let's move out. And now we're out of range, so it's not going to fire at us, but let's move in a little. And now we see it's moving. Doug, can we make everything editable? If you want, go for it. I don't mind. Go for it, man. It's all up to you. This is all on how you want to actually get your AI turret to respond. And that about does it for our AI turret. Thanks for watching Crazy Cats. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time.